up to every day at about 8 a.m. is to take a look at all the newspapers, some Hindi newspapers, some English newspapers, national, regional, some regional languages as well. We've got my colleague Varghese in the studio with us who can help us with some Malayali news as well. What's the social media buzz with? What's the internet headlines? What are they telling us? We're going to take a look at all of those stories, and meanwhile, we're going to urge all the viewers to get down in the comment sections and tell us stories that they'd like us to do over the course of the day. We're giving you a chance to really get down cracking with us and become part of our editorial process. We've got lots to cover today. We've got 10 MLAs of the Shinde camp getting in touch with the Uddhav Thackeray camp. So rumblings in Maharashtra. This Maharashtra pot boiler is not ceasing to intrigue people. On the other hand, in terms of the Manipur crisis, ladies and gentlemen, the United States has now intervened. The United States has said that it is going to help. We're going to take a look at that. Also with us, we've got Rahul Gandhi's verdict in that criminal defamation case against him after he ceased to exist as a member of the parliament. The Sikh for Justice chief, he has surfaced and he says that he's behind the Kill India rally posters. Mark Zuckerberg and Varghese Elon Musk in that electronic digital cage fight, as now Twitter plans to sue Meta after Threads versus Twitter fight is now in the open. OceanGate, that submersible that imploded and people couldn't stop talking about it. The owner of that particular company has suspended operations, and of course, I'm reading here about the monsoon rally. Deficit dips from 30% to 5% in 12 days.
Good news.
Meanwhile,
good news part of it,
rains are still wreaking havoc in Kerala. We'll show you those kind of visuals as well. First and foremost, disquiet grows in the Shinde camp, though Chief Minister asserts all is well. We've got a picture of Sharad Pawar, who met after that particular national executive, which, by the way, Ajit Pawar says was an illegal move, as he is the chieftain and he's supposed to call these meetings, not Sharad Pawar. He met with Rahul Gandhi. That picture is on the front page here in the Times of India, but it says disquiet grows in the Shinde camp, although Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, who's already cut short his trip in Nagpur. It was an official visit, including a visit with the President of India. He cut short that trip. He rushed back to Mumbai, had a meeting with his MLAs. What are you picking up, Varghese? We're also learning that these Shinde camp MLAs have gotten in touch with Uddhav Thackeray.
But that was what I think the story was there in one of the papers, where they said that at least 10 MLAs were in touch with the Uddhav camp. And that is most strange, because it looks like at the end of the day, Uddhav is going to in fact gain from this entire mess. Ajit's entry might result in Shinde's exit, is what right now it looks like. Because Shinde, as I said, was also trying to keep his flock together. And another thing, Kabir, that I have also noticed when this entire thing has exploded, it looks like the BJP wanted someone more reliable, and they did find that Shinde was not the reliable person that we were looking at, and Ajit Pawar was more reliable on this. And yesterday onwards, there have been a lot of memes that have been going on social media, and well as footage where we see Fadnavis and Ajit Pawar talking with each other, while Shinde is at the far end of the seating arrangement. So people have politically given insinuations to it, saying that Shinde is gone, Ajit Pawar is the man to look forward for the BJP right now.
But I personally feel that, Eknath Shinde, who's been such a close confidant of Balraj Thackeray, how does he come across as non-reliable? Because he's somebody who's broken off with Uddhav Thackeray. He's thrown away the legacy, the name. He's gone all guns blazing against the entire legacy. Wasn't he an auto rickshaw driver? He's come from there, being a close confidant of Balraj Thackeray, entered into politics. He is a ground worker.
But at the end of the day, it is politics, and your position seems to be threatened, though, there are a lot of statements coming in saying that, the chief minister won't be changed. The chief minister might not be changed, but there are fact portfolios that some of his members in the faction, that is the Eknath Shinde faction, will have to give up. I think that is where the entire politics is being played, because the BJP doesn't want to upset the apple cart at all, and that's why we have Shinde as the chief minister. And when we have Shinde as the chief minister, or he remains as the chief minister, it looks like a public kind of an assurance that is in fact being given, saying that he will remain the chief minister. But what about the ministers under him? How many big portfolios will they have to give up? This particular story has come from a source, and the Times of India has taken up that story when we were talking about 8 to 10 MLAs being in touch from the Shinde camp with Uddhav Thackeray. This is in fact put out by Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray leader Vinayak Raut on Thursday, where he claimed that 8 to 10 MLAs from Chief Minister Eknath Shinde's camp were in touch with Uddhav Thackeray after NCP leader Ajit Pawar's entry into the cabinet in the hope of returning to the original party. And those are hoping for ministries now will not get them are in touch with Uddhav Thackeray. This includes MLAs from Western Maharashtra and Marathwada. So, very crucial regions.
All you needed was a little bit of Uddhav Thackeray in this particular mixture, and it seems like now we have the UBT faction also at play.
Raut also, I mean, these are big claims that are there. Raut says that with Ajit Pawar's entry, Shinde may get only 2 more berths. Now that is what is hitting out at most of the MLAs in his camp. They were hoping to
Certainly
get some portfolios and also to keep some portfolios, of course. So those who got their suits stitched to join the cabinet are unhappy. Those who fear losing their ministries are unhappy. So those who wanted a chance are not going to get it, and those who have already got a chance are worried about losing their portfolios.
Sharad Pawar says
it's huge confusion that's happening within the Shinde camp.
Meanwhile, Sharad Pawar has taken that age remark really close to his heart and really personal. He says, doesn't matter if I'm 82 or 92, I'm still effective. This is what says Senior Pawar. And Rahul Gandhi has come out in support of Sharad Pawar. He says that we're going to back him up. The Delhi meet called by uncle has no legal sanction. This is what Ajit Pawar says. I'm going to show you this little cartoon by Sandeep Advaryu. It says, yes, I support UCC because it opposes polygamy. And just take a look at that. You've got Chief Minister Eknath Shinde. Then you've got right over here.
I think we've
got the Chief Minister Eknath Shinde. Then you've got Ajit Pawar, and then you've got big brother Fadnavis right behind them. It says, yes, I support UCC because it opposes polygamy. I mean, so is that really the kind of pressure Chief Minister Eknath Shinde might be facing right now? Because A, he's got to keep his flock together. Number 2, well, he's once, you know what they say, once you dine with the devil, you can't stop it. So there is no way he's going to oppose the Bharatiya Janata Party. And so now lastly,
Eknath Shinde per se is not going to lose his chief ministership. I think that is the great plan that we are seeing.
So is that the sacrifice his MLAs are willing to take?
Yes. So in the faction, it is the MLAs who will have to make the sacrifice, not Eknath Shinde. Eknath Shinde keeps his chief ministership in place, but he will be able to keep his chief ministership, and that's the assurance that the BJP has given, that they're not planning to change horses midstream, but only that his MLAs have to do the larger part of the sacrifice. I think that is what is creating the
UBT Neta has said that 8 or 10 of Shinde's MLAs are in touch with
Uddhav Thackeray. I was saying.
Now this is what Chief Minister Eknath Shinde himself says. He says, no problem with Ajit's entry. MLAs will retain seats and we will share the rest. Now this last portion of that particular
How will you
comment,
share the rest?
Sharing, I mean, it becomes a prestige issue. We've seen it time and again. And Maharashtra politics over the last half a decade or so has been throwing some crazy, alliances,
Kabir,
some crazy combinations.
My assessment is that you have, I think maximum you can go is 43 ministers. And you have Ajit Pawar who's going to ask his pound of flesh, and it's going to be huge. So are they prepared for it is the big question, because over here Ajit Pawar is definitely going to ask his pound of flesh, and I think the BJP will have to give that pound of flesh from Eknath Shinde's camp. So that is what is going to drive this entire thing.
And what do you think about how confidently, Sharad Pawar has been able to, come out and say that no matter what legal battle happens, a long drawn or a quick short legal battle, it doesn't matter, because in this case, I don't think we'll need a legal battle. I know that the party name and the symbol are going to stick with us. I'm going to be talking and moving, the relevant court and writing a letter to the Election Commission, not just of the state, of the country.
Well, I think as a senior leader, he is in for the long haul and he's in for a fight because he's being the founder member of the NCP, would want that legacy of him being the founder member continue, and that he doesn't want to see his party being snatched from under his feet. He has the legacy issue about Supriya Sule as well, who has to be made the successor to the party. So the question has always been the symbol and this thing being part of it. Now there is a distinction over here, Kabir. The courts have said that the legislature members need not represent the entire party. All right. So there is a fighting chance that though the majority of the MLAs are with Ajit Pawar, if they go by the party constitution and go for a general executive meet where they try to prove their majority through their district office bearers and other party functionaries, then we are seeing probably a coup by Sharad Pawar in the future. So this meeting that has been called, though they are claiming it to be illegal, the question would be that whether NCP would be able to call its general meet, and in that general meet, will the leadership of the party be put for a complete voting, and after that, who will emerge victorious will be the big question as to which direction NCP is headed after the split.
Well, certainly.
But you have to reach to that position, by the way. You have to reach to that position. That is the issue here.
I've got some other pictures for you, for the viewers to see. This right here on the front page of the Indian Express, it says image politics in capital style. The captions read, some doors close, some doors open. Supriya Sule closing a door and Sharad Pawar opening one. Says NCP patriarch Sharad Pawar with daughter Supriya Sule after a party meet at his residence. Meanwhile, the picture on the bottom showcases, I'll just have you take a look at this. Right here on the top, you've got Supriya Sule closing a door and Sharad Pawar opening one. So some doors close, some doors open.
What a wonderful
there
picture, in fact.
It is. I mean,
it sums up everything that's happening in the NCP.
Does speak volumes. And right below it, you've got another picture. This of the Indian National Congress meeting. Mallikarjun Kharge, AICC President, Rahul Gandhi, Sachin Pilot, who's looking back to listen to Ashok Gehlot over a virtual press conference. And this is what the caption says. It says, looking over his shoulder, because there are reports that the two are trying to see each other eye to eye to make sure that Rajasthan is not lost by the Congress because the state is in fact poll bound. Well, what's going to happen in Maharashtra is something that we'll have to wait and watch. The numbers game is going to get interesting now that the UBT faction, at least in speculation, and speculation is what everybody's been doing all this while, even as the Pawar Junior and Pawar Senior are entangled in that long-drawn legal battle potentially, and both parties are going to move the Election Commission of India. What's going to happen with Shinde camp and Chief Minister's post of Maharashtra is something that we'll have to wait and watch out for. Meanwhile, taking a look at what's happening in the Northeast, and it's important that we take a look at Northeast because in the Northeast, Eric Garcetti, the United States, it seems, has intervened. The United States is going to potentially come in for assistance. What are you picking up, Varghese? What do you think this means for the Manipuris? What does this mean for India? India's, usually come out and said that, we've got it all under control, boss. See, right? But now that Prime Minister was on a state visit there, and of course the US comes with a friendly note, in terms of and a sense of camaraderie in this step. But what do you make of it?
See, Kabir, one thing is there when it comes to this story, especially when it comes to the issue about Manipur. Why is the US saying that it is ready and offer to assist? Now, this was made. This statement was made by Garcetti when he was at the Kolkata consulate, and this question was asked to him, and that is where he said that would offer assistance if needed or asked for. First of all, the US offered to mediate. There are many factors to it because what you should understand is that there is a domestic pressure within the US that's growing in that region. One is because most of the Manipuri Christians belong to either the Presbyterian Church or the Baptist Church and other, Protestant denominations that have a huge influence on US politics. So there is a domestic pressure that is being built from these churches on US politicians on one side. That is, of course, there. And they have been raising the issue time and again. But at the end of the day, this is an internal matter of India. Garcetti made that statement because that question was asked, and of course you won't say that you not look at it. He made interesting things like he said that it's a human concern. It's a human concern, and because it's a human concern, they are not looking at it from a strategic viewpoint at all right now. But if they will be happy to assist if asked for. But as far as I know, I think the big question over here is this. The big question over here is that Manipur and what's happening in Manipur is an internal matter of this country. Of course, all nations have their spokesperson, can comment on it, what's happening. But I think India is capable of handling the situation in Manipur. And I think the government of India is also moved those procedures to ensure there is peace. Of course, on the ground it's getting tough because the reality is tough. You have something with you?
It says the ICEA congratulates Prime Minister Modi for his historical US state visit. Even as we're talking about the United States helping, right there on the front page, you've got a picture of Prime Minister Modi shaking hands with Joe Biden. But let's quickly take the viewers through what Eric Garcetti exactly said. He says, I don't think it's about strategic concerns, it's about human concerns. You don't have to be an Indian to care when children or individuals die in this sort of violence. We know peace as a precedent for so many good things. There has been so much progress in the Northeast and the East. We stand ready to assist in any ways if asked. We know it's an Indian matter and we pray for that peace and that it may come quickly, because we can bring more collaboration, more projects, more investment, more collaboration, more projects, more investment. I mean, I think that these three are going to be the pillars of the ties between India and the United States. But coming back to what's happening in Manipur, what's the latest in Manipur?
Well, the Hindu has got a very interesting article, and I think a lot of people, our viewers from Manipur and those who were concerned about Manipur, would finding it interesting. The Hindu's article speaks about this. Manipur High Court to hear internet ban today. SC declines to intervene. The Manipur High Court on Thursday directed it will hear in chambers, okay? It's a chamber hearing that they are having. In chambers on Friday, a batch of petitions seeking the restoration of internet access in Manipur just hours after the Supreme Court refrained from intervening in a separate plea challenging the internet restrictions. We know that till July 10th, I think the latest internet ban continues because of the kind of situation that's prevailing in Manipur. So we are going to hear an in-chamber hearing by the Manipur High Court on this internet ban. And the SE has also said something. They have asked for a committee on it. Earlier in the day, the Supreme Court refrained from intervening in separate petition challenging the mechanical and repeated internet shutdown, noting that a division bench of Manipur High Court has already hearing the issue and had constituted an expert committee on June 27th as well. So the Supreme Court saying that already there is a lot happening on the internet ban front, so it does not probably need to intervene right now at this juncture on the issue of internet ban.
And in terms of the thin student turnout when the schools were reopened, there were also some news, and of course we must tread very carefully in terms of what's really happening up there and not spread misinformation. There was some sort of a killing that took place right outside a school. In such a situation, I mean, I'm forced to ask this question again. Do you think it's right for students to be heading out in such a violence and tenuous, stricken state?
See, the government of Manipur is doing its best. I would say doing its best to ensure that some kind of normalcy is returned. And schools are the symbols of that kind of normalcy. If kids are safe enough to go to schools, there is a semblance of normalcy. But then, of course, as we say, it's not conducive. There is a lot of questions in the minds of parents. There are brave parents who are actually sending their kids to school as well. The violence has been going for almost 2 months. Academic year and issues would crop up. So there are brave parents who are sending it because even they want normalcy to return as fast as possible. And hopefully, I think all the stakeholders takes that cue, saying that children need to go to school, things have to be back in place. This has just gone on for quite some time. The central government has pushed in a lot of measures saying that peace should be put in place. So I think on the ground right now, each parent to their own will have to decide on whether it is safe to send their children to school.
But do you
Because
think
in certain places,
any kind of pressure on these parents?
no, there's not going to be pressure, because in certain, they are the best judge for the situation. Of course, those who are displaced will be finding it difficult to go back to their to send their children to school. At the same time, it is also the question of safety. In some places, it's more safer than others. So in those places, of course, you would see the schools, kind of opening and probably a semblance of normalcy returning. In certain places, of course, the situation is very tense. I'm talking about areas where the populations of both ethnic communities are interspersed. That is, the foothills regions where the valley and the hills meet. That is where you have a lot of these populations that are interspersed with each other. So that place, of course, will be quite tense. And over there, of course, the issue of schooling will be there. But then, Kabir, we should also understand that how many teachers will be able to report for duty. I've been saying this constantly. If teachers are also able to report for duty, nothing like that, but some kind of semblance. And before this, the government also said, asked the state government employees to return back to work. They've asked them to return back to work. But then again, safety aspects are there. Safety is going to be the primary concern, but I think each parent to their own, they'll have to assess the situation on the ground before they actually...
Right here on the front page, it says, mentally ill woman shot dead in Imphal, 2 men tortured and killed. Killing spark protest near Imphal. They've put out pointers. A mentally ill woman shot at point blank range by assailants in the heart of Imphal. Videos emerge of 2 missing youths being tortured and shot by suspected militants in neighboring Kakching. Killing spark protest at Sekmaijin Bazar Bridge, 35 kilometers from Imphal. There's a picture of a farmer in Manipur who's working in his field as army men stand guard in the background. That's the situation at hand, ladies and gentlemen. We're almost at 3 months of this violence. Manipur woke up on Thursday to the horror of a mentally ill woman being led by unidentified assailants to an Imphal neighborhood and shot at point blank range. Again, shootings that are happening at point blank range. There were some videos, of course, there's a huge language barrier here at play with the larger multitude of the country, and people aren't able to understand, what are some of those jokes, those memes, those trolls, what are they saying on the internet, on Facebook and social media. So we don't really know, but the bottom line is that you have people that are getting shot at point blank range, be it mentally challenged, mentally ill or not. How can you shoot somebody at point blank range out in the open?
Well, that is where I would say the miscreants are out there to create more trouble. Some people are profiting from this. Who are the people who are profiting from this? Who are keeping the arms still in the hands of these people who keep perpetuating this violence? Meanwhile, Kabir, also since you've spoken about the violence, let me get you the point is that the Hindu has taken this. MPs walk out as panel chair disallows debate on Manipur. Derek O'Brien of Trinamool Congress leaders Digvijay Singh and Pradeep Bhattacharya protest as panel chairperson, and BJP MP Brijlal refused to take up the issue on meeting agenda. So, joint letter by the MPs have stated this, that we stand against such an evasion of responsibility to discuss an issue of national importance and therefore choose to walk out of this meeting. This is the joint statement that was given by the opposition MPs who staged that walkout because this debate on Manipur was not taken up. And of course, the violence that you had reported is also the 62-year-old woman shot dead.
What about this look east policy that the BJP government has been, focusing on for the longest time?
I've been saying
all these northeastern state chief ministers and those 12 BJP leaders, all of those got together. They had that meeting. What do you think was probably spoken about?
See, there is a vision to look east policy, and the vision includes Manipur, and Manipur could be the potential gateway of land trade between Southeast Asian nations, and probably we'll have our own Belt and Road initiative. Like,
but isn't that border a part of that trouble?
See, open borders are there. Every country that has open borders will have to man it properly. We are also supposed to man it properly. But the fact remains is that the potential of trade, the potential of being the gateway, Manipur can be the gateway of India towards Southeast Asia, the potential to attract a lot of investment. It could become an economic hub. It's all being affected. It's all being affected right now, because unless this violence is brought under control, unless there is peace, there's no investments are not going to pour in, and once investments are not going to pour in, infrastructure projects are not going to pour in, and probably, I've been saying it again and again, Manipur has the potential to become the gateway of India towards
But why do you
Southeast
think
Asia.
that's not happening? And I have a little view about it, even as we
no, Kabir, see
end
that
this
it is a
particular
historical
topic.
problem also is there with this, because historically they said that let us not mess with the Northeast, in terms of destroying its ecosystem, or there was concern about its forests and its people.
I'm just
and its
saying,
culture.
you had the Nagas, you had the Meiteis, and of course, the Cookies, were stationed there to help, safeguard the Meiteis from the Nagas, vice versa. So many years have trickled down and passed on. Do you think it's our lack of the knowledge of the topography, of the geography of that area that's becoming a hindrance for us to safeguard that border?
I think we have a good knowledge about the topography now. We have a good knowledge about the potentials of Manipur as a state now. We have good knowledge about the geography of the entire Northeast now.
Right.
But what we don't understand is that we don't have a good understanding of the people of Northeast even now. And that is what is actually hindering us from, getting them to exploit their talents. That is what is hindering us from understanding their cultural aspects, their institutions, and that is what is stopping us from actually generating the kind of economic growth that is there. We have to understand the people of Northeast first. And
Well,
unfortunately, Kabir, all of us know that we were biased about it. We just, neglected that part. Today,
Push it under the
Manipur, in
rug,
fact,
and it
even
seems like
now,
that
even
dust
now,
bomb has exploded on us.
it has. And even now what is happening is now we are discovering the Northeast. And what has happened in Manipur has just opened our eyes to several aspects of the social, political, and economic nature of that
The
place.
fault lines at
The
play.
fault lines at play.
Of course, again, I'm going to it's an open disclaimer that it's easy for us to be talking about this here in the studio. Our hearts and prayers goes out to all those that have lost their loved ones, and we can only hope that good sense prevails and that peace is attained in the tenor state of Manipur. Right next to this particular information is the High Court verdict on Rahul Gandhi's conviction likely today. It seems like an important topic. I'm sure we're doing a full-blown show on this also today in the day. The Gujarat High Court is likely to deliver its verdict on Friday on Congress leader Rahul Gandhi's plea for a stay on his conviction by a Surat court in a defamation case over his Modi surnamed remarks. Do you remember his speech in Kolar, ladies and gentlemen, where he said, "Sare Modi chor kyun hote hain?" The court has reserved its verdict since the 2nd of May. A stay could lead to Gandhi's reinstatement as Lok Sabha Member of Parliament. How crucial is this day for the national politics?
Well,
if I put it that way.
I mean, when you say for national politics, let's wait and watch, because how Congress, whether it's a positive, what they are looking for, a positive motivation that they're going to get from the verdict, or if it is going to be upheld, well, both the ways the Congress will have its own narrative to say that, Rahul Gandhi has been stopped from speaking if it goes against him, and then if it is for him, I think they would say that, finally he has been, there is nothing much to do about this disqualification at all. But I mean, this case has been there in the courts. I think the wisdom of the judges will decide on it first. And of course, as you rightly pointed out, we will have something big to speak about this, and we will be closely monitoring it. But again, this question is that the Congress did use this disqualification as an attempt to silence Rahul Gandhi, and they created a huge
Congress, the BJP.
No, I'm saying the Congress,
All
when
right.
they, the way their cyber team took up this entire issue about his disqualification as a person being stopped from speaking in the parliament. And, they spun the narrative on the other side.
Yeah.
And they didn't go by the merits of the case to a large extent, but they did spin that entire narrative saying that here is the man who has been stopped from speaking, and they had huge reels of it, and they had these small shots in Facebook and Instagram about the questions Rahul Gandhi is asking and all that, but nobody in fact spoke about this.
When this criminal defamation case came about, and he was finally convicted, he stopped existing as a member of parliament. The credibility factor of Rahul Gandhi was something that people started talking about. They said, today an Arvind Kejriwal has more credibility than a Rahul Gandhi. Those kind of statements came about. Ever since that time to this day today, even as we're waiting for what comes out of the, the honorable court, Do you think his credibility has taken a hit? Has it remained the same, or has he been able to
As a
work on it?
politician who's been in public life, you are going to be hit with a lot of things. You are going to make statements that could be spoken and twisted and, however interpreted the way you want to have. So you are going to get a hit, and of course perception is what matters when it comes to politics. People do see politicians in the way they are supposed to in fact see them, and I think we'll just leave it at that and let the courts decide on this.
All right, I'll just quickly read an excerpt. It says the Gujarat High Court verdict today on Rahul Gandhi's plea for stay on conviction. More than 2 months after it heard the case, the Gujarat High Court is likely to deliver its verdict today on Rahul Gandhi's application seeking a stay on his conviction by a Surat court in the defamation case over his Modi surname remarks. The High Court finished hearing Gandhi's plea on the 2nd of May and had reserved its order. On 23rd of March, Gandhi was sentenced to 2 years in jail after former Gujarat Minister Purnesh Modi filed a defamation case against Rahul Gandhi. At a 2019 rally at Kolar in Karnataka, Rahul Gandhi had allegedly said, after calling out the names of Nirav Modi and Lalit Modi, how come all the thieves have Modi as the common surname? That's the recap on the case. It is going to be a big verdict today on Rahul Gandhi. What's going to happen next for Rahul Gandhi? Well, we'll have to wait and find out, but I'm certainly sure we're definitely doing a full-blown show on this today, because it does, even as you're talking about the opposition unity, is it a mirage? Is it a reality? Yesterday, I saw Lalu Prasad Yadav, who was in the national capital for a blood test, and it just so happens that the media.
A lot
just
of opposition leaders are in the national capital. You have Sharad Yadav also in the national capital, by the way.
Yep, absolutely. And because the media just wants to have a little bit of a bite of Lalu Prasad Yadav, they asked Lalu Prasad Yadav, what do you make of the opposition unity? What do you make of this? What do you make of that?
And what did Lalu
Prasad say? He said, "Hum 300 seat leke jeetenge, whatever alliance we're in, we're going to get more than 300 numbers." And then later on, he went on to say that the Prime Minister's residence, a wife is definitely required in the Prime Minister's residence. I was thinking to myself, Rahul Gandhi is not married either. So again, that question goes out of the window completely. Sikh for Justice's chief. Even as we're shifting our focus, we know that the Indian consulate in San Francisco was vandalized. There was a proper arson attempt. Later on, we saw these posters of Kill India rally, the campaign, and a call to target diplomats on foreign soil. Those calls were made. The MEA came out, very heavily. Canadian leader Justin Trudeau, he's come down very heavily. The United States has properly condemned the entire situation. The Ministry of External Affairs says that this is not going to go unnoticed. It's not going to be a situation where nobody bats an eyelid. Now, what's the latest that we're picking up? Sikh for Justice's chief has come out and said that he is behind those particular Kill for India posters.
Well, Bakshi has made that statement. I'll just read that
Arindam
statement.
Bakshi.
Yeah, Arindam Bakshi has made that statement. These posters inciting violence against our diplomats and our diplomatic premises abroad are unacceptable. We have called on the government of Canada to ensure safety of our diplomats and our diplomatic missions. So it is unequivocal that we are not going to compromise on this, and we have called upon those governments, and you see that as a reaction coming in where Trudeau just says that they look at it very seriously and that they will go ahead and ensure that they will give the kind of protection that the diplomats require and also protect the diplomatic premises of our country. Meanwhile, the growing presence, I'm just reading that article.
Right.
In the Hindu, the growing presence of pro-Khalistan elements in Canada, the UK, the US and Australia have been a nagging problem for India's relation with these countries. The matter acquired a new dimension last month when a float taken out in Canada to mark the 1984 Operation Blue Star depicted the assassination of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. So let us, why it is becoming a very diplomatic issue right now. People with pro-Khalistani leanings who have, moved away from this country in the 1984, settled in these four countries like Australia, US, Canada, as well as UK. They have their next generation and the generation after that entering government in these countries. Okay, so they are entering the decision-making bodies of these countries. Some of them have been appointed as ministers, some of them as opposition leaders. So this pro-Khalistan-leaning outfits or the sympathizers have made it or penetrated into the governments of these countries. And what is happening is that they are constantly raising the pitch for Khalistan. At the same time, they are also affecting the policy decisions of these countries. Though the majority of them in the government in these countries want to have good relationships with India, because of their constitutional system, of course, freedom of expression is there, and these second generation of migrants who had left the time from India due to the issues of Blue Star and the consequent 1984 riots, who have settled in these countries, they have made it into their government system, and they are now dictating policies that show as a policy from these countries. But technically speaking, they are aimed against India. So we have to, in fact, tackle
the
this
steps
issue.
that the Ministry of External Affairs has taken, even as Justin Trudeau, the United States, several of those senators, UK warns against anti-India violence, Canada not soft on terrorists, says Justin Trudeau. Are these words, it comes across as lip service, because the San Francisco consulate was attacked for the second time.
It sounds like
Australia,
for
United
example,
Kingdom, United States.
Everybody knows. Justin Trudeau himself knows that there's a huge votary that supports Khalistan, that supports Trudeau. All right. So, but the big question is, it'll be a huge international embarrassment if anything happens to our diplomats or to our diplomatic premises. And our concern should be that these elements have made it into the governments of these countries, and therefore you need to tackle it diplomatically and on a government-to-government basis, so that this bias is not reflected in the policies of the countries, the Canadian government's policies, nor the US government's policies, nor the UK's, nor the Australian government's policies. All of them, if you look at them, want to have good relationship with India. But when you have elements, extremist elements like this penetrating their government and also into their system, they need not think in terms of what the overall Canadian or US or Australian or UK policies are. They actually are thinking from a very narrow-minded perspective then.
Just for the benefit of the viewers, I'm going to quickly read an excerpt. PM Justin Trudeau has said that Canada has always taken serious action against terrorism, and it will continue to do so, as he asserted that it is wrong to believe his government is soft on Khalistan supporters. His remarks came days after India summoned the Canadian envoy in Delhi and issued a demarc over the increasing activities by pro-Khalistani elements in Canada. Meanwhile, UK Foreign Secretary James Cleverly has warned against violence being used against the Indian High Commission in London or its staff during any protest. This was followed by a particular report on the alarming posters being shared online inciting violence against two Indian senior diplomats in Britain. The posters called for a Kill India Khalistan rally outside the London mission on Saturday. What's going to happen next, and how the MEA is going to take charge, because it's imperative that India continues to put pressure on these countries as well to take action against people who want to incite violence on India. I mean, the mere name of the campaign says Kill India.
Yeah, and Bakshi seems to have, spoken to, as he says, that the MEA seems to have spoken to or in touch with their counterparts in these countries. Let us see how things will work out.
Have you downloaded this new application called Threads?
And how is that? You downloaded it yesterday, right?
Yes, absolutely. So everybody knows about how Twitter has a new competition. It's called Threads by Instagram on at least the Android application. The Apple app, the Google App Store.
I made to download it.
I don't know what's there on the Apple App Store. It's called Instagram Threads by Instagram. I downloaded this. Similar to Twitter. I don't know what's fresh about this. Maybe just the feel, the look, the vibe, the fact that all my Instagram followers were simultaneously connected with me on Threads. I did not have to look for followers again, or to look for people to follow.
That feature is very interesting, because I think that is what makes people go to
you don't basically start from a clean slate. Yeah,
You don't
you don't
start from
basically
scratch.
start from scratch. That I think has attracted a lot of people. Another comment that I've been seeing on threads is that people are happy with the fact that there is no inbox here
Oh, okay.
in threads, like the DMs you have in Twitter. There is nothing like that. Really funny comments also. One of my friends put out this comment saying that with just one more application on my phone, I won't have to think a single thought ever again in my life. No cringy comments, no flashback of what I posted back in 2012 on Facebook, because after just another 2-3 more applications, you won't have the bandwidth to remember all of this, because so much is going to be. I mean, I've started getting up 15 minutes earlier to take a look at what's happening on this one more application. But there is a legal battle at play here as well, because people are saying this is a digital cage match between Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. What do you think is going to happen next?
Well,
Twitter has made it a prestige issue. It says more than 30 million users signed up for Meta Platform's new app Threads. 30 million, ladies and gentlemen. Designed as a direct rival to Twitter and the most serious threat yet to Elon Musk's struggling social media site. So even as Elon Musk says that people without subscription can only take a look at 600 tweets, Elon Musk says that you have to buy a subscription to get more, to view more tweets, to read more articles, there are more benefits if you subscribe. So there's money involved. Now Threads is completely free. It's not going to ask for any of that. On top of that, it's got the plus point of getting followers. You don't have to start from scratch. On top of that, you have no DM section, no personal message section. So people are threading it through, it seems.
Well, the thread seems to be pulling the thread out of Twitter.
Well, I'm done with these thread jokes. Okay, let's not use the word thread. But in terms of the legal battle, the legal
look
battle.
at it. See, in the legal battle, I would say that if they are trying to sue this thing, let's understand as a concept, you cannot put your copyright onto it. What they are claiming is that Thread has used the trade secrets of Twitter. Now, of course, please, you have competition over here. And Elon Musk, I remember yesterday I was telling you that you are monetizing something that people have got to use as being free. You have to find some kind of a revenue model, and you are trying to make people pay for the services that you're trying to give, which essentially was a very, very free platform. I would personally look for something that is free, where I can disseminate my information, and a revenue model would be looking at something on those lines. So right now, I think when we look at Zuckerberg and Musk, they're going to go for a long legal battle, and about who has stolen what from where, and competition issues are going to in fact come in this. And once the competition issues come in this, I think, it's going to be threadbare.
The competition is already here, ladies and gentlemen. 30 million users joined Threads in the first 18 hours. Meta's Twitter killer, Threads now open. What's going to happen?
It a Twitter killer, man.
Twitter killer. Meta's Twitter killer. And it seems like it's really, thought after. And you can't give a, you can't, take your fight to Mark Zuckerberg with nothing in your hand. Mark Zuckerberg, he's the man who's given us the Facebook. But even as we're talking about technology, let's talk about the submersible also that imploded underwater. Those 4 billionaires, the rich, people that were on board that submersible, well, they were the ones who could afford that hefty a price to go down, take a look at the ruins of the Titanic. Well, the OceanGate, the company that ran that adventure tourism, that has, in fact, the owner has suspended operations. That's what we're picking up. The company that owned a submersible that imploded on its way to explore the wreck of the Titanic, killing all the 5 aboard, said on Thursday, which is yesterday, that it has suspended its operations. OceanGate announced the action in a brief statement posted atop its website. Contacted for additional information, a spokesperson declined, and I'm reading an AP copy and Associated Press copy on the internet. A spokesperson declined to comment further. Among those killed in the implosion was Stockton Rush, the submersible's pilot and chief executive officer of the company. Well, the investigators believe that the Titan imploded as it made its descent into North Atlantic waters on the 18th of June. The Coast Guard last week came out and said that human remains have likely been recovered from the wreckage of submersible and are being examined by medical officials in the United States. The remotely operated vehicles, these are known as ROVs, were used to retrieve the debris from the ocean floor, which is about 12,500 feet, 3,800 meters underwater, and a ship later brought the piece of wreckage to a port in Canada, which were to be examined. The debris was found roughly 1,600 feet away from the Titanic. A lot of speculation, you know, the banging sounds, people really hoping for what might have happened underneath the water. The submersible tragedy, OceanGate has now suspended its operations, Varghese.
A lot of questions were raised as to whether there was some kind of safety audit that was done, quality check that was done, and this submersible was in fact sold as, you know, the next big tech when it comes to submersibles and exploring the oceans. Tragedy enough this is that has happened, and it just opens our mind to the fact that there is no credible institution that can give a complete certificate saying that this submersible that they use for such explorations is safe. Nobody wants to stick it out. The only certificate that you can get from a submersible is for a huge submarine operated by the defense forces like the Navy, and that too from their quality check perspective. But small submersible like this, and submarines used for such deep exploration, there is no organizations in the world that can give you that quality check. And
a major lack of research available, major lack of classified materials to be making these submersibles with, and legal experts have said that they expect family members of those killed to file lawsuits not only against OceanGate but also against the Titan's maker and companies that provided the parts. But if OceanGate totally shuts down, that certainly reduces their options. This coming from a legal expert. What's going to happen next? Well, we'll have to wait and find out. But as of now, OceanGate, the company that ran this submersible high risk adventure tourism down to the wreckage of the Titanic site, has suspended operations of the company. This atop its website. Further details are being awaited as the company has not really come out. Just a brief statement atop its website is what we're learning. A major tragedy, a Titanic-like fate for the Titan submersible as well. Well, Varghese, we were talking about, the rains and the monsoon, how the monsoon rally deficit dips from 30% to 5% in just 12 days. So basically, in 12 days, rain spell likely for another 2 weeks, says the IMD. Wet spell spread across the country. What does this essentially mean? Even as we're focusing on Kerala, there are several alerts by the IMD that have been issued by the Met Department for the state of Kerala. Colleges and schools yet still taking a beating. Take a look at those visuals. Life completely comes to a standstill, right?
There is a huge issue that has been spoken, especially from Kerala. There have been landslides that have been reported.
And this just to tell the viewers that this is a jail in Kannur that has, its wall has completely collapsed because of the rain. We've seen dilapidated buildings taking a hit, trees getting uprooted. Children are happy because they don't have to go to school anymore. But from beauty to pain, it's pretty much everything because of rains in Kerala.
Well, it is, and there are two rivers that are now at the danger mark, and the authorities are monitoring it. It might burst its banks soon, which could result in the kind of flooding in those areas that the river's basin passes through. And the authorities are looking into it. I'm just trying to go to some of the Malayalam websites that are there, and I'm trying to, in fact, find out what are the
visuals look so beautiful.
Yeah,
don't they? I mean,
these are dangerously beautiful.
I know what's coming next. Of course, this is going to have a ripple effect, in low-lying areas. But I mean, this is Kerala's very own Niagara Falls, isn't it?
I think so, right? You can actually...
Away from the lighter note, what are the websites telling you, Varghese?
So what are the websites at the moment saying is that, there is an orange alert that has, in Malayalam is saying, Aru Jillagalil orange alert prakyabichu. That is in 6 districts we have the orange alert that has been put in place. What are the districts where the orange alert has been declared? We have it in Idukki, Malappuram, Kozhikode, Wayanad, Kannur, Kasaragod. Jillagalilana orange alert prakyabichirikkunna. Malayora Pradesangalil Nirdesha മേഖലകളിലും ജാഗ്രത തുടരണമെന്ന് മുന്നറിയിപ്പുണ്ട്. In the sense that in hilly areas also they have asked to monitor the situation, because it's when it rains, it's not only about the floods, it's also about the landslides,
Landslides,
because there are a lot of hilly areas and the soil becomes very loose.
We already saw what happened in Nagaland.
Yeah, we have seen how that. So the soil becomes very loose, and there have been instances in which entire communities have been wiped away because of these landslides. So they've been asked to look into it. Meanwhile, schools and colleges have been shut in a lot of districts. There have been also reports coming in that there is a huge agricultural disaster that is there, because a lot of paddy fields, especially in Kutanad region where paddy is the main stay of cultivation over there. What happens in those areas, a lot of paddy fields have got completely underwater, and that is worrying as of now.
The soaring price of tomatoes, in the south of India was yesterday's biggest news. And we've seen it before as well, that heavy rains, it has its toll on the vegetable market prices as well. What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, in Kerala, the thing is that the vegetables are imported from Tamil Nadu, a lot of it, and most of them are green vegetables that's locally grown. So the price of tomato is going to be very, very high in Kerala. But
it's about 140 rupees per kilo in Tamil Nadu itself.
Issue is that even the green vegetables have been affected because of the floods, and that also is going to, because those considered to be your local vegetables, the prices of those are also expected to in fact rise, and that is going to be a worrying factor for a lot of people, because that was something that they relied on in case there was a shortage of supply from the neighboring state. But just bringing in few of this thing, it is being said that in one of the websites are saying that അടുത്ത 3 മണിക്കൂറിൽ കേരളത്തിലെ എല്ലാ ജില്ലകളിലും ഒരുപെട്ട ഇടങ്ങളിൽ മിതമായ മഴയ്ക്കും മണിക്കൂറിൽ 55 കിമി വരെ. They are saying that it would in the next 3 hours they are expecting rains in many of the districts.
In the next 3 hours?
In the next 3 hours also. So
that's some live update for you, ladies and gentlemen. Even as we're looking at dilapidated walls and buildings and properties taking damage, some beautiful scenes of waterfall like.
It's not heavy rains, but they are saying light showers are expected. That's
certainly. And there are fears of flooding and landslides. We'll leave you with these visuals. That's all the time we have for you. Keep watching News 9 for all the latest details. At 9:30, we're doing a Kerala-based show. Then later on at 12, we have our focus on Manipur yet again. The South Indian later on in the day, and then our real point and global perspective towards the evening. Stay on with News 9 for all the latest details. You can subscribe to our webpage, our Twitter page, and of course News 9 Plus application for cutting edge documentaries and incisive analysis. We leave you with these shots. Thank you so much for joining us.
BrahMos. Stealthy, lethal, precise. It flies at 3 times the speed of sound and cuts through a warship like a hot knife through butter. China's navy has threatened its neighbors, and they are turning to the BrahMos for protection. The warship killer. This and more streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now.
Pakistan is actually genociding Baloch people. So being Baloch is a crime. If you are a Baloch, it means in the eyes of Pakistan, you don't have any right to live.
The Chinese and Pakistanis are colonizing the Baloch and exploiting their resources.
Baloch armed struggle will continue unless China withdraws, Pakistan military withdraws from Balochistan and give Baloch complete